Hello, hello, and happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to episode 21 of the Plight Attendant Show, the weekly series I created for everything we're curious about, challenged by, or just want to talk more about. Things like today's topic, which is all about what we all have, right? Combining our pain and our passion to find our purpose, but also claim our power. And I'm really excited to have somebody that I met a few months ago and I just love. Jen Carpenter is in the studio with me today to talk about exactly that and how she did that for herself and how she does that for her clients. But first, as we always do, I'm going to take a few moments for some housekeeping tips just to get everybody oriented. As you come into the studio, please take a minute to introduce yourselves as you come into the chat, rather. Introduce yourselves. Let us know where in this great big wide world you are watching from. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for being here. He's always the first. And any comments, questions, shares that you have for me or Jen, please let us know. Any support you want to give to each other, as you always do, please do that as well. It's one of my favorite things about the chat group here at the Plight Attendant Show. You guys are always so helpful. And speaking of helpful, if you know anybody who would benefit from watching the show and being part of the stream, and let's be honest, who wouldn't, right? But we do live stream every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And a special shout out for the Plight Attendant on YouTube. I am really excited about that channel. It is growing very nicely, and I would highly encourage everybody to subscribe. But also, I'm thankful if you do, obviously. But I also am very thankful for everybody. I always want to, start the day and definitely start this show with a moment of gratitude for everybody. Paul, Carrie, Teresa's already here. I see Sam Kane, Purple Reset is here, along with Jen in the studio with me. So grateful for all of you. I just, anybody who takes time out of their day to join us live or watch the replay, I'm really grateful to you for that, because it's a special time. I created this show to introduce other people to information, people, and resources that they may not normally see, but that I know will benefit them, people like Jen. And so I just want to mention that I'm so grateful for you guys. And one last tidbit, because I know this has come up. So where my eyes are, you're going to see them go all over. My camera is here, right here in front of me. My monitor is here. So if I'm looking at the camera, that's me. If I'm looking here, I'm looking at Jen. If I'm looking over here, you just made a comment like Paul did, and I am going to, right? And I want to highlight that because that's me looking over here. So that's what I'm doing. I am the host, but I'm also my own producer. So I just want to, thank you everybody for bearing with me on that. I'm really glad to see everyone. And so without further ado and wind up, blah, 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 I really want to welcome you, Jen. We met a few months ago and you reached out to me, and I just enjoy talking to you. You feel like home to me when we talk, and I just really appreciate it. But I also do want to, have people get to know you and your story and what's going on with you.
Thank you so much, Gretchen. I really, really enjoyed meeting as well. There's certain people that I just really connect with right away, and you were definitely so. That is one thing that I really enjoy altogether about the journey. Are you hearing me okay? Okay, just wanted
I'm
to
hearing
make
you
sure.
okay. And just so everybody's aware, this is a live show. So if we have a little bit of a delay, that's okay. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. And really, the whole topic of pain and passion into purpose, I really felt like just encompassed everything about where I come from, who I am, and why I do what I do. So it's an interesting topic that has kind of come up on and off over the journey that I'm speaking of. I'm pausing
Yeah.
here and there because of the slight delay. So I just want to make sure everyone hears me.
I
So I don't want
appreciate
to
that.
go too far into it. Well, one, number one, I for you, like you said, and start with gratitude is something I was told a very long time ago to do, and really have dove more into that this year. So starting your day with a list handwritten of as many things as you can possibly think of that you're grateful for, not just 5 or 10, as many as you can think of is a great way to start your day. So I agree with that. So I don't want to
Definitely.
go too much into the past. I'm very, very present and future focused. But I do want to tell you a little bit about kind of where I come from. So just keeping it brief as possible with the journey that I've been on. I've been on this entrepreneurial journey for about 3 years, and I do come from a healthcare background. But to go further back, without getting into too much detail, like I said, I come from a family of six. I'm the youngest of six. And I grew up playing sports. I rode horses. I played softball. I was a swimmer in high school. I restored classic cars with my dad and my brother. I have a 55 Chevy. I also did tile on the weekends with my dad, and he was
Wow.
self employed most of my life, which is interesting. So I'm a Sagittarius. I like all different things. So I love variety. It's the spice of life. So basically, when I was 16, I had a couple different health issues come up. So behind all of what I do, I love helping people, and I had to look in the future also at what was behind my passion for why I love helping people so much. I just help people deal with problems, and that's something I've always done naturally. So since I was 16, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, a digestive disease. So that was really challenging to handle in high school, and not everybody around me really knew what that was. I've also been dealing with back issues since I was 16. So, thankfully, my Crohn's has been doing very well since 2010. So I'm extremely grateful for my health. That is, walking, talking, speaking, thinking is something I'm extremely grateful for every day, even when it's challenging to be grateful for.
Yeah.
So being that said, I went through a major surgery when I was 20 in the middle of college that really changed my life. I was going to school to be a physical therapist assistant, and in the middle of my schooling, was dealing with that, and still managed to graduate on time, even though I had some pretty significant challenges to do so. The next year, I got into a pretty bad car accident, and shortly thereafter, I actually met my husband 2 days before I graduated from college and began my career in physical therapy. Um, I started doing what I've done since I was 21. I bought my first house when I was 23. So I've always been focused on taking care of my finances and my health and all that since I was 16 years old, pretty much. Starting to get into some of the other, adversities, the pain and things that I've been through. 2012, I had been at my job for 6.5 years and lost my job. They eliminated my position out of nowhere on a Friday and told me to pack my stuff up and leave. And I had been there for 6.5 years. So that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Within 2 weeks, thankfully, I found a new job and continued on in the world of physical therapy. So late in that year, December of 2012, I actually lost my eldest sister, who was a nurse, lost my sister to suicide. So after that, um, I also, so that is, she's my number one. She is the one that has taught me to make my next 10 years my best 10 years. When I made this decision to change my life in 2020, she's been one of my main drivers to do what I'm doing and help people in a different way. 2013, 2014, I had two miscarriages that were also extremely challenging. And thankfully, in 2015 and 2016, I had my beautiful children, my daughter and my son, 15 months apart. A little different than planned, but life doesn't always go the way you plan.
Right.
Um, all of that leading to basically 19. I had this crazy random health issue out of nowhere. My kids were very small, and I ended up being hospitalized for 6 days. It was just this whole crazy thing. I was doing everything I could to get better, and I wasn't getting any better. So I ended up in the hospital for 6 days. And basically, that leads me to January of 20. I said, I can't do this anymore. My kids were 2 and 3. I was working full time in physical therapy, and it's just overwhelming and stressful and mentally and physically exhausting. So I decided I've got to figure out another way to be present with my children and do a better job taking care of myself. So I know many other people here have been on that journey and maybe have had similar stories. So Um, that's kind of the backstory. I can get a little more into, how I chose to do what I'm doing.
Hmm.
Hang on one sec.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of take a pause there. I know there's a lot of comments, or if you had any questions, because that's kind of the brief backstory, and then I can kind of get further into my choice of this journey. So I don't want to keep babbling. If there's any other comments or questions.
Yeah, I did want to give a shout out to Carrie and I think I'm getting a little bit of background on me. I can hear me and you're hopefully that doesn't. Okay, I think we're good. So Carrie had mentioned that he's also having some back pain today, and then Paul had mentioned also that he hurt his back. So that is something that I think a lot of people can resonate with, that, how, dealing with that, because chronic pain is, it is debilitating, and it causes a lot of collateral issues. Carrie also, like myself, my niece committed suicide in 2014. His sister, or
Wow.
his mom, that again, he was very young when that happened. So another thing that I think a lot of people can resonate. And that's why one of the reasons I say we're all going to have similarities and things that we can resonate with, but everybody's story is unique to them, what you take from it. So what did lead you to go in the direction that you decided to go in?
Yeah, so I basically, and thank you for sharing that. I know that it's really impactful when other people can resonate with what
Yeah.
people are dealing with. So thank you for sharing all of that. Um, Basically, my sister was my biggest motivator despite, the challenges. It just didn't make sense. Two full-time working parents, and things were too challenging, and I did everything right. I had gone to school. Had no debt from college whatsoever. I started working at 21. Like I said, bought my house at 23 on my own, the first time I ever even lived on my own. I did it all right, and it just didn't make sense to me that it was so challenging. I wasn't,
Yeah.
as happy as I'd like to be with a 2 and 3 year old, and this just didn't make sense. So I basically explored a bunch of different opportunities and didn't want to go with any sort of lotions and potions sort of thing. So what happened is I actually stumbled upon it's true, stumbled upon the services that I offer, which have been around for over 50 years, but I had never really heard of them before. I randomly found the services that I offer and my main mentor out of Colorado from a Facebook ad for a side hustle. So totally random that I decided to click
Okay.
on this ad and meet him, and who knows, here I am 3 years later. Um,
Yeah.
that was an interesting step too, to just, take the action and be able to say, hey, I'm going to give this a whirl. I realized that I really loved learning. I love teaching and sharing knowledge with other people. I had to look within myself and say, oh, this is something different that I could do, and step totally out of my comfort zone, do something different. I've always talked for a living. Talk all day for a living. So I enjoy networking and just sharing value and always providing people resources. So, it's definitely changed quite a bit since I got more serious about my business this past fall in August. But I knew that the services, like I said, made sense for my family, and I knew that it would make sense for other business owners, whether that be entrepreneurs or small business owners that have a passion for what they do, and that I can support other people like me, um, and be able to help them along the way in their journey, because they too have a reason that they went into business for something
Yeah.
they love. And very often, many people that I meet have families as well, or whatever it may be, to I want to support their passion, and that's really what it's all about, is being able to spend your time and energy on what is most important to you. So I knew that it
Yeah.
made sense, to try something scary and new, basically.
I love that.
um Yeah, go ahead if you had a comment or
Yeah, no, I love that. And actually, we had a couple of other ones. Again, Joey Davis just joined us, and I welcome Joey. And again, back pain. Yeah, it's something that I think so many people can resonate with, but also that struggle. And so I know, for and I've consumed the service. I needed it, right? Didn't realize how much and how long I had put off certain things until you and I talked that first time, and I was like, I need that. And so, like, I wonder, how much, like, does that happen where you're just talking to people and they're like, I need that. I've needed that for a while. And I can go into how I put it off, but how often do you find that when you're talking to people?
Well, I still find that people tend to put it off. For one, some people don't believe that it's true to have that much service for being so affordable. So very
Right?
often they don't believe that it's possible to have access to
Yeah.
attorneys and be able to get your questions answered for such an affordable cost. But a lot of people that I meet, they've either had the service for 20 years or they didn't know about it at all.
Yeah.
And they are like, oh, that's interesting, and just don't believe that it's really possible to have that type of resource to be
Yeah.
so affordable. So yeah, very often people just have questions and different reasons that they might want to, protect their family or their business. But yeah, you were one of the few people that right away was like, yes, I've been thinking about this. I need this. And, sometimes there's a lot more questions about what it entails and everything. And I'm, perfectly happy to educate it, but people just don't believe that it's possible to have these kind of resources.
Yeah, and I wanna put your LinkedIn back up so everybody can see because this is Jen. So if you have not yet connected with Jen, also her LinkedIn is Jen Carpenter and then Secure and Savvy, which I think is super cool. But you definitely want to connect with her. And again, what she's talking about, and I don't think we've actually mentioned it yet, but it is Legal Shield is the company. And so for me, I'll just do a little backstory for me.
Sure.
When I first met you, and I was like, okay, I need that. Like, I have lawyers in my family, right? But they're not my lawyer. And years ago, a lot of people may or may not remember, but many, many years ago in Florida, there was a very famous case, and it was involved a woman named Terry Schiavo. And Terry Schiavo was a woman who had she was in a persistent vegetative state for a while. She did not have a living will, and there was a huge battle between members of her family over what was going to happen with her. And I said at the time to my husband, we need a living will. I've got to get a living will. And I got so far as to reach out to a lawyer. And then, like so many things, I never did anything with it. Never. And so when I met Jen, it's one of those things that's like in the back of your mind. It's just like, you need to do it. You need to do it. You need to do it. And we all have those things that we need to do. And now that I've taken what I've done for 14 years, but I took it full time last year as a business, like proper business. That also,
Yes.
I was like, I probably need some extra looky loos on that kind of stuff too. No idea where to go. I'm not a lawyer, right? I don't know the first thing about it. So when we were talking, I was just like, I know I need this. And so what do they offer? And I will say this, I have a living will now. And I do credit you for that because I probably would have sat on my butt and not done it for another 10, 15, 20 years if I had not had that conversation. So right place, right time. Yeah. But also right service. So I do appreciate it. Yeah.
You are so welcome. I am glad that you and your business and your family are protected. Very often, even once people do enroll in the services, they still don't take care of it. So I tell them right away, the business owners can have a personal plan with a home business supplement. There's also different options for small business owners based on the coverage and benefits that they need. But when you have the personal plan with the home business supplement, you can get your estate planning taken care of at no additional cost outside of the membership,
Yep.
even with yearly updates. They still tell them right away, just fill out the paperwork and send
Right.
it in, and you should get it back in a couple weeks. You have to get it notarized when you get it back. Just do it. So don't just, there's plenty of people just sit there and they just still don't take the action, even when they have the resource right in front of them. So I just highly encourage you, if it's something you need, get it done, get it taken care of. You don't have to pay $2,000 to get it done. You can get in touch with someone quickly and get it taken care of and check it off your list.
Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely possible. And that's
Yeah.
realistically what it's all about is altogether, whether it's my service or not, my goal is to add value, support, impact, inspire the people that I meet with, and be able to connect you to whatever the resources are, even if it's not what I do. So it's all about connecting and helping each other with whatever it may be, making introductions, whatever it may be to help support the business. I always ask, what is it that you need? Who do you need to be connected to? What other resources do you need that you don't have access to? I'm sure I can point you to someone that can get you what you need. And that's what it's all about.
And you've done that actually for me as well. So in addition to that, you've also introduced me to some really cool people. And I so appreciate that because it's one of the things, like there are some people in the audience, like Melissa Houston is another one. She's always reaching out, introducing, trying to connect people and connect the dots. And I do the same thing. I think that's one of the reasons why like I gravitated to you so much and so quickly, is because that's also very much my outlook. If I don't can't do what you need, I like to be able to introduce you to people who might be able to do that. It's incredibly important, especially in today's world, because if you have to go out and search for everything on your own, you can, but how much better is it to have somebody who goes, you know what, I know someone you should meet. You guys totally would hit it off, and that is so important. So from a networking standpoint, which is something a lot of people, I think, feel like they know how to do. I think I was like, I know how to network. No, I didn't. You've actually helped me improve that as well. So thank you for that. Is that
You
one
are
of your favorite
welcome.
things about what you do, is the getting to know people and networking with them?
Yes, yes, I definitely do love hearing people's stories of their journey, of where they are today, and sharing, whatever value I can. So, yes, I do love networking. As long as you're spending the amount of time networking that you're actually getting out of it what you need and making sure you're making those connections. You spend an hour of time networking, make sure that you're making two or three connections and actually getting three one-to-ones on your calendar. So making sure that you're using your time wisely and adding value to those introductions. So yeah, definitely everybody knows your network is your net worth. So one way or another, that was something too in the beginning. I didn't know anything about sales or networking. And then I learned later too, even through what I'm doing, everything is sales. We're always selling.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
is, you're just adding value and resources to people. That's all it really is, as long as you do it the right way and, with a servant heart, basically. So, yes, I do enjoy it as long as I've actually scaled back a teeny bit on it right now. I used to do more, and whatever you do it consistently a period of time before you change things. So,
Hmm.
I'm in a little bit of a shift here. I basically, even without getting into all the details, and there's some other stuff I want to go back to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, I on the employee benefits side took on 50 existing accounts in Illinois from my business partner in Utah. So I'm assisting with meeting these business owners little by little and communicating more with them. So I'm shifting a little bit of my virtual presence actually to more and more with the local businesses in my community with my chamber. So I'm taking a little bit more time out of my one-to-ones virtually and doing a little bit more face-to-face in my community, because the business owners and their employees are mostly who I'm shifting my focus to, even though I still can always help entrepreneurs and independent business owners in a variety of spaces. So kind of shifting
You
where
know,
I'm at. Whatever you do it consistently, and then you shift after 3 months and reevaluate each, every 3 months, and make sure you're spending your time where it's needed and most valuable.
Yeah, and actually you just made me think of something. I mentioned her before, but actually hearing what you're doing now, and I love that. I actually think if you haven't connected yet with Melissa Houston, because she's also the managing director of a background screening company called Expert
Oh, okay.
Background Solutions.
Okay.
And like any employer who's got like those, we had a conversation. She was on the Plight Attendant, and it really opened my eyes as to, like, I knew what they were, but I didn't really understand the full import from the employee side and the employer side. So that would be a great, like, we're live networking here, I guess. But I mean, I think that would
Yes.
be maybe a
Yes.
great conversation and connection for you guys to make, because
Awesome.
that's really, to me, what it's all about. And I love what you said, that your network is your net worth. And I think a lot of people have heard that, but don't really understand what that means. I mean, I'll say one more thing, and then I do want to
Yeah.
get back to what you want to talk about.
No
But
problem.
another thing that I'm really grateful for knowing you is, when I decided to start the Plight Attendant, part of it was I still need to get over my I'm not going to do video. But I also really wanted to be able to do this, have conversations that people can take meaningful things away from, really get
Yes.
value from, see
Yes.
yourself in the conversation, understand what it's there to help you with. And one of the things that I'm doing because of you with your company is, I'm actually doing the service marks for the Plight Attendant. So we're getting
Okay.
trademarked, which I'm really excited about. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm really
Yeah.
excited about that. Someone
Yeah.
else did use it for trademarking. So if you don't mind me asking, how long do you know on your end it takes to get approved for the trademarking? Someone else told me it can take quite some time.
Yeah, it can take, depending on what it is and where you want to go, and your state
Yes.
factors into that, right?
Yes,
So it
exactly.
can
Yeah.
take up to 6 months, and then you
Okay.
have to do various service marks. You also have to be sure what your artwork, how you're using it, where you're using it, so that you are using it in the way you want to use
Okay.
it. And I wasn't. I thought I
Okay.
was, but I wasn't. And so that
Excellent.
advice was really, really good for me. And also the steps you need to go to, your state factors in, knowing that I'm going to be moving also factors in. So all these
Okay.
things that I never would have known, and I
Yes.
might have just like gone to the federal level and started filing a bunch of paperwork and then found out it was worthless had I
Okay.
not known that I have a direct legal avenue to use now at my disposal. So I'm really grateful for that.
I am so glad that you mentioned, because that's one of the other big reasons that people would utilize the service to speak to an attorney and get help with trademark copyright. Some plans include it for the small business if they're going to do one in a year and they know they're going to. Some plans actually include that. But otherwise, the services, other than your consults, are at a 25% discounted rate if you needed further assistance.
Yep.
But someone else I met recently was going to be writing a book and asked some questions about it. And everything we talked about, she needed the service. But basically,
Mhm.
what I'm getting at is she had already spent hours researching. She had already spent hours researching, finding who to work with, what she should do. She tried to check the registry herself of,
Yeah.
do all of that. I'm like, well, you've already spent 2 hours of your time researching and trying to find the help you need. You wouldn't need to do that with this.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
any question, whether it be a general question about taxes or business formation, a business question, personally or professionally, basically you get in touch with the right attorney. You get a call back in 4 hours. Don't have to waste your time playing phone tag. Get the answers you need and get the help you need with the benefits you have, or move forward beyond that. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. Time is money. So no one needs to sit around Googling their answers or questions to their
Right.
answers, and answers to their questions, and waste their time trying to figure things out on their own. That's really what it's all
Yes.
about. You never have to make any important decisions on your own, personally or professionally, and that's really the mission behind it, is having access to the justice system at an affordable rate, personally and professionally. And if you need to bring out the big guns later, you do, if you have to. So it's there as a resource. Even if you speak to somebody a few times a year, you've definitely seen the value of being able to get those questions answered. And I could tell you at least 10 stories about how I've used the service in 3 years and how it's helped me personally and professionally. So that's the kind of stories I share, that to relate to what people are going through. But yeah, the questions, trademark, copyright, getting money back in your hands where it belongs, whether that be a problem with a customer or a
Yep.
service provider or a vendor, are the other reasons you can utilize the service to help you with your business. Things come up, the unexpected comes up. Using it for everyday situations is one thing. Having it in place for the unexpected is the other. Peace of mind. I sleep better at night knowing that my family and my business
Yes.
and everything is protected, and I can pick up the phone and get a question answered anytime. I've done it in the past week. It's
Yeah.
it's yeah. So same kind of thing, without getting into like all of the details of
Mhm.
every aspect of it. I wanted to kind of get back to more present when I got more serious in the fall with my business. Number one, um, first of all, and again, something I don't want to get too far into. March of 21, I've been dealing with some pretty difficult challenges at home, domestic situations, and things like that. So that's another big. It's interesting. The reason I'm mentioning is that 2020, I decided to do this. I bought my new house in December of 2020, came here to raise my family. March of 21, I've been having significant issues in my life that I've never dealt with before. I've been with my husband for 18 years. So we've had some significant challenges. So even what's interesting about it is me choosing to go on this journey and look deeper within myself and what's best for me. It's interesting enough that, that has also sort of contributed to some of the challenges in my life, which is crazy. But anyway, um, I, in the fall, met my fantastic business coach, who you also know. His name is Sajad. So he came into my life, and many people know him. You either love him or you think you hate him, and you don't really know. He's actually more
So
humble and
true.
nice than he makes himself out to be. But he
Yeah.
stepped into my life when I was going through the most difficult time in my life. I was a single parent for 2 months, and he picked up the phone and called me and made me an offer I couldn't refuse to work with him. So I am extremely grateful for that opportunity. I've learned a ton from him. So I could go on and on about all the wonderful things I've learned and how grateful I am for him. I have another person who came into my life in January, another coaching program. So, another service I'll be offering in the future is a mindset mentorship program. So, I've been going through a mindset mentorship program since January that eventually I can be certified to teach and also help entrepreneurs and business owners fix what's between the ears, because we all
Yep.
know that's the only difference of what makes you successful and
Yep.
happy in life,
That's where it
realistically.
starts.
So I
Yep.
am really, really excited to be able to help people in a totally different way. Being that all together, I just love helping people and point to the resources that they need. And if that's another way that I can connect with someone and help somebody make their life better and be their best version of themselves, that's pretty much what I'm all about. So taking all of this adversity and putting all of my pain and passion into purpose is what has led me
Yeah.
to all of this. And what's even more interesting is that I didn't ask for either of those things. I didn't ask for those people to come into my life and help me. And it came to me at the most difficult time in my life. So, um, basically, um, I'll just say, I guess, putting it out into the universe. We're talking about mindset just in general.
Yep.
You have fears, that stop us, and looking at all of that was huge in my progression of having, well, as I say, as Sajad says, courage comes before confidence. That's one of the things I wanted to bring up that was a huge game changer in my shift, if you will. That you have to have courage before you can have more confidence, and little by little, I've been gaining that, is my point.
Yeah.
um so basically, one of the things that I learned along the way also was to kind of look within yourself, I guess is what I'm getting at. Looking within yourself to really look at your why behind what you do, and your passion for what you do, and going deeper with everything. Looking within yourself is what I'm getting at. Putting
Yeah.
things out into the universe, thinking it, feeling it is one thing, speaking it into the universe is another, but believing it. That was where I
Yeah.
was missing it. You could say your affirmations all day. If you don't believe it, you're going to go nowhere. And
Mhm.
so, as soon as I started to believe it more and believe in myself, is when all of these things have started to happen to me.
Yes.
So, they've come into my life and helped me change my life, like I said, at the most difficult time. So, that's kind of um, one of the big things that I wanted to get to, is that just really believing it, looking within yourself. Actually, one of the things that I say is everything I desire is already within me. You have to look within yourself and know that you just got to bring it out, and you really have to believe it, because that has been the biggest game changer for me, is actually believing it and then stepping outside your fears, looking at where your blocks are and what's limiting you, and just figuring out how to move past those fears and blocks. Those are some of the most impactful things that I've learned. It's coming up this August already, so it's almost been a year.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
Crazy.
And I love, mindset is big for obviously my whole my business, everything I do is rooted in what I call RAM thinking, which is the top of the
Yes.
results pyramid.
Yes.
And everything comes back to mindset, which is that collection of what you believe to be right, true, right, real, true, and possible, easy for me to say, in this world for you and beyond. And so you take action or you don't based on that. And so I love that that is something that you're doing more of, because I love the fact that, I mean, there's been a lot of adversity, and you've been able to examine, like, take that time and examine it and really ask those questions, those fundamental questions. What does this mean for me? You know, what does it mean to me? What does it mean for me? And then you're doing that little extra thing of how can I take this and create value from it, not just for me and my own family, but for other people, which is so necessary in this world. And I love, I just love it. I think the more people who practice it, help other people with it, bring it about, share it, it just, there's no downside to it. I do want to mention, and this is not self-serving, but I do want to mention this because anybody who also has ever thought about doing a live stream and is chickened out, which I almost did before I started the Plight Attendant. Thank you, Joey. Joey says, I'm not one to normally sit and watch live stream feeds or blogs and this type of stuff. I get it. But for some reason, I felt like I needed to watch this morning, and it's been a duo moment. I really need to get my living will and made with the way my health is going. And I certainly support that. And I wish you all the best health. I know it's challenging for all of it, for everybody. And everybody, what you're going through is unique to you and what you can do with it. And definitely the living will is something that, like I said, I put it off forever. And I was really kind of like ashamed of that. Like, oh, I have all this stuff I need to do, but I never executed with it. I never took it to the next step, which is so important. And I love that, like when things are ready, people come in. Again, you open it up to the universe
Yes.
and things
Yes.
do come to you. And the challenge there for some people is recognizing it when it's coming to you and not saying, well, that's just something else. And that's not something. Recognizing when you're open to it and that things are coming to you, they are coming to you, and that you're able to capitalize on that. And I like how you describe Sajad, because I think that's absolutely correct. He's like, I've known people like that, and I describe them as like a nice little puffy like cotton ball wrapped inside some barbed wire, and you just got to get through what you think is the barbed wire to understand like there's really softness there and goodness there.
Totally.
And Carrie says yes, he needs to do a living will as well. I think a lot of people do. It's a document that I never understood the importance of until, again, that Terry Schiavo case. And if you're not familiar with it, please look it up, because it was a sobering moment, I think, for the entire country to realize what can happen. And everybody loved this person. So there was not any animosity, nobody was trying to do anything wrong. It's just they disagreed fundamentally on what was necessary. And the missing piece was what she wanted. And she didn't have a document that said what she wanted. And so a living will gives you the opportunity to let everybody know what you want. And that's important when you can't say it for yourself. So yes, get that living will done. Joey, Carrie, everybody. You can, reach out to Jen. Like I say, it's all about, exposing you to information, people, and resources. And Jen is a great person, but she's also a great resource. And knowing that you're doing that deep mindset work, and that you also have this other professional thing that you do that is a benefit to people. And I know because I've directly benefited from it, I think is amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I am happy to connect with whoever I can help. So I can make sure you can have my calendar and we can talk. Basically, I can just educate you on the services and make sure you understand what you're really getting. That's how I try to differentiate myself. There's many people who do what I do. And basically, it's the fact that I'm going to be real and honest and make sure you understand what you're getting and make sure that you actually utilize the resources that you have. I don't want you to have it to just that one thing. I want to make sure that you have it and know you can use it for any situation that you might be encountering in your business or your life. So thank you very much for adding so much value on that. It's not only the fact that you don't get to make medical decisions on your own, having, taking care of what you want taken care of. It's also taking that stress and burden off your family. That's the biggest thing, is that you don't have to. So might I add, even still, I have more things that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, definitely.
My dad passed away March 5th. So he is also, besides my sister, my main driver of living life, to the fullest and to the best of my ability, and to be the best version of myself, which I've already been on that journey. But that, he was a wonderful, wonderful man that taught me so many things in my life. So thankfully, we didn't have too many complications with his case. He actually did not have these things in place, but we didn't have too many complications, thankfully, dealing with it in his case. But that's the point, is that, you're protecting your family, your business,
Yeah.
and helping them get through difficult times that are very unexpected. He passed very unexpectedly, but like I said, thankfully, we didn't have too many complications. Um, so I wanted to just talk about more of the pain, passion, purpose, and like
Yeah.
believing that you're capable of doing what you're doing. That was again my biggest block. I had fear. I had fear of video. I had fear. Can you see me? My
I
screen
can.
goes out
Yep.
here and there. I had fears and doubts, and basically, from the people I was introduced to in my network, they kind of helped me uncover what was behind some of those things. So it goes back to all the things I've dealt with. Is that I realized, I was told my whole life, my mom and my dad, that I could do anything that I put my mind to, and as long as I tried my hardest, that was good enough, and to be happy with that. So basically, living my life, like a normal kid and healthy and happy. But then having all of this start at age 16, I was limited. I was told, you can't eat this, you can't do that, you can't do all of these things. So I didn't realize that that's what was behind everything that was limiting me. I knew that I was capable, I knew that I was resilient, but I didn't really believe it. So I had
Yeah.
to gain that confidence slowly, to do all the things I'm doing, to be here, to record
Yeah.
the videos I'm recording a couple times a month, basically, and sharing them on my YouTube channel, to help add value to resources, business owners, and then women in entrepreneurship. I do a conversation once a month with another connection of mine, Sarah Petrahita. It's like real talk, we call it, and we just talk about different topics to support women and people in entrepreneurship, particularly mothers that are in entrepreneurship, people, like you and I on this journey. And then the second time in the month, I release a video about just a resource that helps business owners, whether that be entrepreneurs or small business owners. So Thursday, I'm recording with Dr. Barrett Matthews, who is a podcast host, and or not necessarily that, he does all things podcasting. So just adding value with those resources. So yeah, stepping out of my comfort zone and believing that it was possible that I could do these things and not letting
Yeah.
my fear get in the way. So that kind of was a big thing that was uncovered for me behind everything that I'm doing. And I didn't know. Like it was like,
Yeah.
and it's interesting too, because even today and in my in person chamber meetings, everybody tells me when I speak, they're like, you speak so confidently. And I'm like, whew, and I didn't realize that I was. And I also have had to make a big effort to gain confidence slowly, but it took figuring out where my fear was in order to get past it is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So that was a huge monumental thing of learning to get through that. And so yeah, I'm like, wow, I'm like, I didn't realize. I'm so grateful when people tell me that, and I have people tell me that on a regular basis, that I
Yeah.
speak so confidently, and I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. I don't do well like scripted. That's the problem I have. I don't do well scripted. I have to have like notes and just kind of roll with the conversation. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, I love that. It's one of the reasons why I like the live format, because you can
Yes.
have notes are great, but also the just that natural flow of conversation when things are going to come up, I think is also really important. It's something that, with the chat, I've watched people in the chat on the Plight Attendant help solve each other's problems as they're going on during the show. And certainly when we have technical difficulties, as any live will experience, they're also the first to come in, jump in, and try to help with that as well. So I think that also is really important, because it's that natural inclination that we have to say, I can help you with that, and again, to say it in a way that, you're confident, you can, but also the other person is ready, and it's an invitation, right? And so I
Hmm.
think that's also really important, to be sure that you're asking that, that permission of anybody, can I help you with that? But I remember I thought the same thing the very first time I heard you speak, in a just a conversation with somebody else. And I was like, wow, she's on it. Like, she knows her shit, right? And when we had our first conversation, I was really blown away, because it wasn't just that you sounded confident, it was the depth of information that you had about your service and what it could do. And I've talked to people, I mean, I talk to people like you all day, every day, I meet people and I have a whole group of people that we do nothing but pitch so we can get better at that. And you're one of the people that it was so natural, effortless, and there was no pitch. It was just like, this is how good it is. Like, this is why you need it. And I was like, sign me up. So
You
yes, I think
were,
it,
you were.
yeah, I definitely, and it, because again, I knew it was something I needed. But what happens is when somebody comes in and they go, "You need this," I'm like, even if I know I do, I'm like, "No, thank you. Next,"
Yeah,
And so it was telling me about what it can do and why that's important. But I also think it's really important to mention that that's something you check in, right? How's it going? How you liking it? What are they doing? Anything you'd change? And so does the company, where they'll check in and say, how was your experience with this lawyer? And I did want to mention too, I don't know if I did before, but you get, it's an attorney, it's a practice in your area. So it's not like I'm talking to somebody in Illinois. I'm in South Florida. I'm in, Martin County. So it's somebody who is close to me, not, in another state or whatever. And I also really loved that as a resource. So I think that, I just wanted to mention that as well. But, this is such an incredible journey that you're on. And I am so happy for just everything. Like it's like just the opening up of you to get inside and say, this is what I need. And as a woman, I love the fact that you're like, this is what I need. And I love that you support other women. Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, with just kind of briefly again, it's access to a network of attorneys in all areas of law. So you do have your local law firm, but if you had an issue interstate with your business or a speeding ticket, I always say in Arizona, you would be referred out to an attorney to represent you for that traffic incident if you had the personal plan or a business conversation. So you can have access to a network of attorneys in all areas of law. Again, basically without the high hourly rates and costly retainers. Um, so I wanted to add back to the fear part, is some of just
Yeah.
adding a brief more value here about the confidence piece. Some of the biggest things I learned were learning to value and respect myself and my time. I didn't know that I was living in a victim mentality. I didn't know that I wasn't holding myself 100% accountable for everything that I
Yeah.
did. I wasn't aware of that. So that was something that I really learned quite a bit about when you start looking within and diving deeper into your why, into what your blocks are, all of those things. I learned that I was too nice for business. I'm a very nice person. I'm also normally very direct, but I have a difficult time being concise at times, and I also had the fear to ask for the sale, like you said, when appropriate,
Yep.
to do that. I'm was too nice and I just want to help other people and just add a ton of value and then still leave myself with nothing. So that
Mm-hmm.
is a huge, huge piece of where I've had to shift, is that, having that confidence to ask for what you need, say it,
Yeah.
speak it out loud, confidently and appropriately. That is one of the that is one of the biggest things. We make jokes about it all the time, but I'm too
Yeah.
nice for business. Ask for exactly what you want and be confident for them. I
Yeah.
also have recently learned that I'm a people pleaser. So I
Yeah.
all my life, my mom has pretty much done things for other people and never did anything for herself. So you wonder where I get that from. So
Yep.
I've learned recently to not give enough. I'm slowly learning to not give enough,
Yep.
little by little, and focus on myself and what I need and what's best for me with boundaries in a kind way, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, I'm the sweetest person ever, but if you tick me off or you disrespect me, I'm going to tell you. So I'm also really like very kind and sweet and happy, but like if need be, I'm going to tell you what I think and speak my mind. That's for
Yeah.
sure. So,
Yeah.
but it's just interesting that oh my gosh, hang on. I plugged this in. Go ahead,
No
Gretchen.
worries. No worries. So I was just going to mention too, when she talks about boundaries, I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but like boundary is like this critical intersection of need and desire. And so when they're in
Yes.
harmony with each other and we understand that and we can protect that, easy peasy, right? No problem. But where boundaries get pushed is where we subordinate our own need, right? for a
Mhm.
desire or the other way around. And women are, no shade to the men, but women are much more prone to disrespect our own boundaries than men are. And there was another coach, Tazima Paris, if you've ever met her, who's amazing, and she will be on the flight attendant later this
I
summer.
have not
But
met I have not met with her
you
yet,
should
but I
meet
am
her.
excited to
She's
meet her.
amazing.
Yes.
And she had a
Yes.
question. She said, "Are you good with boundaries?" And I said, "I think I'm pretty good." And she goes, "I'll ask you a simple question and you'll tell me a simple answer, and I'll know if you're good with boundaries or not." And I was like, "Okay." And she goes, "Not to get personal, although that is her thing, is getting personal, but she was like, "Have you ever held your pee?" And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Have you ever held it for anybody else?" I'm like, "Well, sure, everybody does." And she goes, "No, everybody doesn't. Most men don't do it." And I was like, "Oh, my husband doesn't either." So she's like, again, it's need and desire. And if your desire is to please, which mine is always like, let me let you finish, let me let da 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 da, instead of my own biological need, that is a problem. And so it was a very clear way of saying, getting right to the point. Are you? Do you? Are you really good at your boundaries? And I love that you brought that up. It's so important. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great story to relate to it. I absolutely love it. I am excited to meet her more in the future.
She's amazing.
Um, so just kind of to pull everything together, I didn't quite go into all the full details of everything. Um, my why is really just like I said, to connect people to the resources that they need. I have tons of gratitude for everything, the challenges I've been through, and looking at
Mhm.
those challenges as a way that, okay, I'm actually going through a really really difficult time right now, but
Yeah.
looking for the, knowing that you have to get through all of this
Yeah.
to get where you're going. So, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for all of the things I've been through and I'm going through and I will go through. I will continue.
Absolutely.
There's always going to be ebbs and flows in entrepreneurship, family, raising children, all of the above. It's never going to go away. So you
Yeah.
have to look at it instead of, this is what I've learned recently too, without anger and frustration. You have to look at it as um, a positive, and be grateful, even though they're challenging situations, to be grateful for what you've gone through, because you can't have one without the other. Realistically, you've got to have the highs and the lows to get through everything.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that when I've been going through another certification for PQ, which is self command mental fitness training, and that's one of the things that you have to remember is that there no matter how challenging what's happening to you is, there are gifts and opportunities in each if you can know how to look for those and can draw those out. Not to say that it's easy, right? But they are there. And so I love the fact that you're owning that, and that that is another tool that you've added to a very I thought already very complete, but a growing toolbox, which is really important because that's how we become, and we're always becoming, right? We never stop becoming. And that's one of the another way that we do it is that introspection, that getting in there and figuring out what is working for me, what's not working for me, why, right? And you've mentioned your why a couple of times. Can I ask what yours is? I know it's helping people, but when you get down to it, is that it?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I want to live. I support the passion for business owners to live life on their terms. Realistically, I want to live life on my terms and be the best version of myself, be more with my family. But really, just having resources where you don't think you have options. So it's
Yeah.
really basically providing people, like, all the problems I've been through. That's actually, again, what I had to look deeper into with my why is, why do I love doing what I do so much? All of the
Mhm.
stuff that I've just talked about is exactly why. I know what it's like to go through difficult times, medically, financially, not too many crazy business situations for me so far, but I know what it's like for a business owner to go into entrepreneurship or and think they have to wear all of the hats, and they don't have to. So I just love being able to help people connect to the right resources so they don't have to think about it or waste their time, and be
Yes.
able to live their passion with their business. That's really what it is. So they can spend their time and energy and their money on what matters most to them. So it's just
Absolutely.
supporting other people like you and I to be on this journey is realistically what it all comes down to, behind everything that we've talked about today. So that really, I had to learn more about what my why is. And I know the why shifts and changes a little bit over time, but realistically, that is where my passion for what I
Yeah.
do comes from. And also the fact that you mentioned, these sort of things happening. And I didn't know that this was going to be part of my journey. I didn't know that I was going to find this piece and it was going to come to me to add
Yeah.
this value to the people that I work with. Never was it a plan to do this, and it came to me, and I have to allow it and embrace it and know that your journey and your path changes. Going to my family situations, my journey and
Yes.
my path is changing. I don't know what the future is going to look like exactly, and sometimes it doesn't go the way you expected it to go.
Right.
That's going to be across the board, your
Yeah.
business, your family, personally, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You just don't know, and it really doesn't go the way that we planned always, and it ends up being the right path in the end, but it doesn't always go the way you expect.
And I think that that's a really important thing. And I know we've got just under 5 minutes left, but I did
Yes.
want to mention too that is it's incredibly important what you just said, because again, nobody can control what's going to happen in this world or actually in your own life. You can have a plan, but life comes in and goes, I'm going to mess up your plan a little bit. And so all of that to say, it's that how you get through the moments, because the moments add up to days, years, your life, right? So how do you do that? And that's again practicing that self-command so that you think yourself through it, right? You don't let, when everything feels like it's collapsing, you don't let it collapse on you. You figure out that way to think through it, and you look at what it's attached to, right? What does this mean for me? Right? What is it really, what in this moment, what's going on? So that when you think everything is chaos in this moment, I'll anchor myself sometimes. I mean, when the house blew up, I did that, right? Do I have access to food, right? Do I have access to a hot
Yes.
shower?
Yes.
How, and right now in this moment, which is all we have, and I know
Mhm.
that sounds
Yeah.
cliche, but it's absolutely true. Right now in
100%.
this moment, am I okay? I'm okay. Right. And after the house blew up, one of the doctors that I saw, and I still talk to him every Friday at 10, because it's very important to have that mindset work and going through that. Am I okay in this moment? Why does that matter? Because this moment is the next, the next, and the next. Again, minutes, days, years, it's your life. And if you can do that in the moment, you can do it forever, right? It's just how you view it and how you see it. I love your story, Jen.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I
Yeah.
want to end with the fact that, of course, we can connect on LinkedIn. My calendar is there. There's a link. My YouTube channel is Jen Carpenter Secure and Savvy as well. So please follow me there.
Oh,
Connect there would be great. And I'm happy to help anyone that I can help, whether that be a business or a family, however I can help you. I wanted to end with a brief quote. My favorite quote is: Life is not measured by the number of breaths that we take, but by the moments that take our breath away.
yeah.
Nobody really knows who actually coined it. Maya Angelou said it, I believe, in 2000, George Carlin, 2004. I did a little bit of research. It possibly came from a woman named Vicky Corona in a book called Tahitian Choreography from in 1989. She was one of the first people to possibly
Wow.
actually coin the quote. And what it is followed by is dancing can do that for you. And I wanted to share that I love music and I love to dance. So I did research on this yesterday, and it was the quote followed by dancing can do that for you. Tahitian choreography. I have no idea. But yeah, I love music and dancing, yoga, hiking, nature, and spending time with my now 6 and 7 year old. And thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast, and I'm super grateful for you.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you were here. And I love that you shared your story. And I know there's so much more there. I definitely want to encourage everybody, please connect with Jen. She's been an amazing connection for me. I've just really enjoyed getting to know her more. I love that you guys are doing exactly what you always do, helping each other out in the comments. I see discount for Carrie for an aquarium. That's pretty cool. And again, take that time for yourself. Think about what it is that you need and don't sleep on it. Don't put it in the back pocket and then sit on it, because it doesn't help get it done. And once you get it done, it's like, now you can free
Takes the
yourself
weight.
up to do other things that you want to do.
Yes, that's
And
what it's
yeah,
all
so
about.
absolutely. And thank you so much, everybody who joined us today. and who came in, and I just love. We actually had people from Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn here today. I didn't see anybody from Twitch, but maybe I missed them. And thank you again, Jen. And for
Thank you,
everybody,
Gretchen.
yeah, it is my pleasure. And we will be right back here next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the Plight Attendant, we're going to have a really good guest, and I will be sharing that with you all very soon. But thanks so much, and we'll see you Tuesday. Bye.